This is chapter 140 of The Flower of Freedom by Deborah J. Reeves. All rights to both the book and presentation are reserved. We're not reserved about how thrilled we are about having you back, though. Please, if you've come with your good heart and good intentions, let your imagination settle into the seat. Find some comfort, find some rest. We hope you find some entertainment and enjoyment. We hope we've given you a positive 8 minutes or so of your day. Here we go, chapter 140, Positive and Negative Results. Everything went back to normal that day. They barely left the bed except to eat. Hans ordered takeout and the doorman brought up anything they wanted. Hans brought out fine old bottles of very expensive wines, and they drank deeply. Bianca reflected that Cleopatra must have felt like this with her Mark Antony. They were together night and day, and they did not distinguish between light and dark. They just slept and they played 24/7. At about 4 o'clock one day, the phone rang. Hans jumped up to answer it. Bianca heard him say, "Really? Ah, never mind, these things happen. Come on by, we'll give you another. When can we expect you?" He listened, and then he said, "See you then." He turned to Bianca, and he said, "Some inept lab assistant spilled the samples before they could process them. Dr. Bengal has been reluctant to bother us, but he needs a replacement. You'd better get dressed." Almost precisely half an hour later, the doorman called to say that Dr. Bengal was on his way up. Hans took a cup from him as soon as he arrived, and Bianca went into the powder room with her cup right after that. When she returned, Dr. Bengal slipped past her, and he went into the powder room with his case in his hand. He emerged minutes later with a smile. "Thank you so much for being so understanding. These samples will be perfect," he said, nodding to Hans with a beaming smile. Once more Hans handed him an envelope and whispered to him at the door. When the door was closed, Bianca asked Hans why he was paying Dr. Bengal. "Paying him? Whatever are you thinking, Bianca? It was a donation to help his research. Think of all the people who could be helped if heart disease could be detected by a simple urine sample. It would change the world, and I want to help that along." "Oh," she said, thinking, "what a good man. If he's this generous with researchers, I'll help him find some good research, my own." She smiled back at him in mock apology, thinking that the solution might just be the thing she was searching for. While she loved neuroscience and she loved surgery, she hated interacting with patients. Maybe she would put her skills to use as a researcher when she had finished her education. She was surprised when he said, "I just want to run out and pick something up, Bianca. I'll be back shortly." He went to the front closet, and from the side wall, he picked up a set of keys to one of his Ferraris, and then he put it back and he said he preferred to drive his Porsche that day. "I won't be long," he said, bolting out the door. Bianca hurried and had a shower. She washed and dried her hair while he was gone. She redid her makeup and dressed in a fresh summer silk dress that Hans had bought her. He had bought her 4 identical dresses, one in each color, and then he bought her shoes to match. He always went above and beyond whenever she had a desire. She looked at the time. Hans had not returned. She waited. She read the end of the Stepford Wives, expecting him to return every minute. He finally returned near midnight, and he handed her a huge bouquet of flowers, very similar to the one that Jeff had given her before he left. For a fleeting second, she thought how much she missed Jeff. The thought went out of her head when Hans spun her around as though they were on a dance floor. She forgot about being annoyed, and she laughed at his high spirits. She put the flowers on the table so that he would not crush them. She went willingly with a good deal of enthusiasm as he pulled her by the wrist into the bedroom. He gave her a playful shove onto the bed, and then, methodically, he removed all of her clothing. Even as she craved him, some part of her brain sensed that something was different. She ignored the gut-level warnings, and they got louder as his face changed from the face, so much like Bertie's, to a sneering mask of contempt. She ignored it, telling herself that it was a flight of fanciful imagination. Focus, she ordered herself. Focus on the pleasure. He was still fully dressed when he asked her if she was ready for him to show her his gym, and if she was really ready to be pushed. With heat in her eyes, she nodded, and he told her that she had to earn the privilege. She had no doubt what he wanted. You'd better make it worth my while, she said, as she began doing her best to be an accommodating seductress. She didn't like it when he took handfuls of her hair and pulled, but it was over soon enough. Before long, he pulled her roughly to her feet, and he led her through the closet, taking a key from his trouser pocket. As he opened the metal door, only starlight streamed in from one small skylight. She could not see much initially, but then she saw some gym equipment. He was right. The place smelled of bodily fluids.